Everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Blood and Plunder as we work our way through more of the legendary pirate commanders. Today we're taking a look at another interesting one, that's Stede Bonnet. So let's jump right in. He is only available for the Golden Age pirates, so unlike a lot of the ones we've seen recently, even Blackbeard, where you have some force selection here, this guy is only in the Golden Age pirates. Now he is one of the cheaper ones at 15 points, so easily able to be incorporated even in some smaller games. And he's got the standard sort of brace of pistols and standard melee weapon that you see with most of these pirate commanders, right? But where he's really going to let you down, although there's some ways around that, he's got the 8-inch command range, so kind of like we saw with Charles Vane, but where I guess he's going to, like I said, kind of let you down is the fact that he only has that one command point. Now his special rules kind of make up for that and kind of create a sort of almost pseudo version of him having two command points, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But so just keep that in mind when you're building him, right? You only have that 8-inch command range, so when you're trying to use his abilities to affect other units, you're going to have to kind of be relatively bunched up to get maximum use out of this. So we'll start off with high standing. That's kind of a downer sometimes, right? So basically, for whatever reason, the commander with high standing, so whatever unit he's attached to, it's going to lose actually elusive, quick, scout, skirmisher, or hidden, as long as he's attached. So now a lot of the pirate units, you might see some of those abilities, so just plan accordingly on where you're going to stick him, right? Because that unit will not have that. But let's see what actually makes up for that. So moving right along, we've got Indomitable, and that is a fantastic ability. So Indomitable is a fun one. We don't see it very often, but this is a neat one. And so basically, if his unit begins an activation with any amount of fatigue, it immediately removes a point of fatigue, so you don't have to waste a rally action or anything else on that. It's just kind of permanently removing fatigue. Now, and then the nice part too is if you started shaken, and this would leave you with 2 or fewer fatigue, then you're actually not shaken for the turn and you can act normally. So again, makes him very resilient. Or in this case, Indomitable, hence the name and the rule, right? But that's very nice for keeping him going, basically, and his unit. Now, where we kind of combine this with other things is Motivated. So when the commander issues a command point, in other words, his single command point, to give a unit an action, this commander's unit may take a point of fatigue to give that unit an additional action. So that's where I was kind of saying earlier, we kind of get almost like a second command point out of that. It's just with some restrictions, right? We have to take a fatigue, but that's where Indomitable is nice, because hopefully we don't take any more fatigue from anything, so then we just get rid of that on the next turn. But then the unit that we're giving those orders to, whether it's our own or somebody else's, basically we can get an extra action, 2 actions out of that. So very nice there for whatever unit he's essentially delegating orders to, right? So we could do something like shoot out a sequence, then hey, here's an immediate reload. Just various neat little combos that can be done with that. So that little interaction there is definitely something you want to study, especially with the units, the units available to the Golden Age pirates, including his own, and just figuring out where you can get the sort of nastiest effect of that. So then he's got one final ability, which again, we don't see it too often, but it is nice when we see it, and that is Resilient. So, and this is basically a nice and simple one. So the commander's force may apply a -1 bonus to strike tests. So kind of, again, with that theme there of kind of sticking in the fight longer, they're basically getting a -1 bonus on those strike tests and hopefully passing those so that you don't basically crumble as a whole force. So all in all, pretty neat little combination of abilities, again. So on paper here, like if you just saw the 8-inch command, 1 command point, and the cost, you'd be like, well, it's not that expensive, and the stats aren't the greatest, right? Would be nice to have that second command point, but with those abilities, he kind of does have that second command point. It's just very limited in scope, but that has its own little uses there, and the fact that he's kind of for free shaking off fatigue every turn is nice. And again, if you can ideally not take much more in return, position him to where he's very limited to exposure from enemy attacks, and then the unit, whether it's his own or somebody else that he's ordering, with that at the cost of a fatigue is going to basically get a nice little action boost, and hopefully be able to do a lot of good work with that. So let us know in the comments, guys, what you think of Stede Bonnet. Have you run him? At what point size, and how has that typically gone for you? Overall, what do you think of him? Let us know your results. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll have more Blood and Plunder for you soon.